right. My name's Anthony Dowell. I'm a firefighter here at Cape Girardeau. I'm going to hand the camera to you guys. This is our Explorers. And we are going to be teaching ground ladders today. In our... Turn this on. There you go. Hey, it works. Alright, so our lesson goal today is going to be describing our safe practices for using, carrying, and placing ground ladders. You guys will be able to demonstrate methods of raising and lowering ladders, working from a ladder, and assisting victims down a ladder. This section is supposed to have a lot more about ladder parts and various other things. I took all those out because those aren't, we don't even know those right now. Our objectives, we're going to describe safe practices for using ladders. We're going to describe the process for carrying ladders, describe the proper procedure for placing ground ladders, describe ways to secure a ground ladder, describe methods for raising and lowering a ladder, describe how to safely work from a ladder, describe how to assist the victim down a ladder, and then our two skill sheets that we're going to do today is the 2 firefighter ladder carry and raise. So we're going to team you guys up into teams of 2, and we'll carry the ladder. I'll show you a video first of how to do it, make it a little easier than just reading off the skill sheets for you guys. And we'll just have to carry the ladder over, put it up against the building, lift it a little bit, and then bring it back down. And then last skill sheet is going to be assisting an unconscious victim down a ladder, which we'll actually do that first before we do the ladder carry because I have it all set up ready for you guys. So we will start off with ladder safety. We're going to make sure that we're safe working from ladders. Huh?
I can't see you.
Can't see me?
No, I'll move it. Get back up there.
Okay.
There you go.
Alright, so we want to make sure that we have adequate upper body strength when we're working from a ladder. We want to make sure that we can hang on to the ladder. We want to make sure that we are following our department trainings and procedures. Make sure we have full PPE on, helmets, gloves. This states full PPE. Our department policy is just helmets and gloves. Today we're going to have you guys in all the gear just to be safe. We're going to take breaks, a couple breaks in between. Whenever you're climbing ladders, make sure you're using your leg muscles to go up and down them, not your arms. Don't pull yourself up them. Make sure you're just stepping up them. Whenever we're moving ladders, make sure you have adequate people to move them. Don't try to do it by yourself, because that's where we have injuries from. And we also need to make sure that we're checking for electrical wires anytime that we're lifting a ladder out, because that's the last thing you want to do is get electrocuted from a ladder. We're going to ensure that our hooks on the ladder, whenever you're raising it, are engaged all the way. If they're not engaged, the ladder's just going to fall as soon as you put the weight on the ladder rung. We're going to make sure it's stable before you climb it. I don't know if you guys seen the ladder, how I had it up there. I have it tied in to the, actually underneath the door. I have it tied so that way it can't slip out. Whenever you guys are climbing it, we're going to have one of you guys stand at the bottom and heel the ladder, and I'll discuss heeling the ladder in a minute. You make sure you never overload the ladder, so make sure that there's not more than 2 people on the same fly. I'll show you pictures of the flies also once we get to that. That's the sections of the ladders. And the only time that you'd really run into that would be if you're helping a victim out of a window or something, and you need 2 people to try to get them out of the window. The best thing to do would be just put 2 ladders side by side. And relocate the ladder if needed. There's various different ways that we can move a ladder once it's fully extended. We'll cover that. And make sure that you're only using ladders for intended purposes. After we use a ladder, we need to make sure we check it, make sure there's no damage, especially if you're on a fire and your ladder gets into the fire, it'll weaken it. So we need to make sure that we're checking that. Whenever ladders come in contact with power sources, you can get electrocuted, of course. We definitely need to make sure that we're not around any electrical aluminum ladders and fiberglass ladders can both conduct electricity, especially if they're wet. So sliding down a ladder, either feet first or head first, is very dangerous. Make sure that you're climbing down a ladder. Don't just jump out and slide down anything. Whenever we're lifting and lowering ladders, we need to make sure that we're working together with other people. Making sure that we're using the correct amount of people to lift the ladder. I've got a slide here in a moment that'll show you how many people we need to use to move ladders. Make sure you're using your knees when you pick up a ladder. Don't just try to bend over and grab it and pick it up. Make sure you squat down and grab it and then lift up with your legs. The person at the butt of the ladder, the part of the ladder that goes to the ground, is going to be the one that will tell everybody else when to move. So that way you're not one person lifting out of the other. So now we're at general guidelines. Anybody want to take a stab at a couple of the safety things that I talked about? Any safety aspects of using a ladder? Nobody? Anything?
Make sure to be aware of your surroundings and power lines and trees.
Okay. Do we, go ahead.
No, like I said,
I was gonna say, should we pull ourselves up a ladder?
no should use our legs.
Okay. Go ahead.
Don't place the ladder within 10 feet of electrical wiring.
It's a good one.
Don't slide down the ladder.
Don't slide down a ladder. I know, we just did a RIT training and, they taught us to, go head first out the window and grab onto the ladder and flip around and, various different things. That's, very dangerous to do, and in an emergency situation, all you're thinking about is getting out that window, so you need to definitely make sure that you're going down the ladder feet first. We're gonna talk about some electrical hazards next. Whenever we're raising a ladder, we always need to make sure that we're looking up, make sure there's no ladder or no electrical lines above us, and normally what they tell us to say is no overhead obstructions. And that'll cover anything, whether it's tree limbs or electric lines. I know they say electric lines here a lot, but one of the other things that's often overlooked is if you're lifting up a ladder and you hit a tree, you might break off a tree limb and it might come down and hit you. That's another reason why we have our helmets and our gloves on at all times. So anytime you're raising a ladder, make sure that you're looking up when you're raising it, and like Lily stated, make sure you're 10 foot away from any electrical lines at a minimum. Preferably, I would say farther than that, because you never know if the wind might catch your ladder and move it any which way. There's different kinds of raises that we can do on a ladder. We can, of course, do the flat raise, which is on the left, or we can do a beam raise, which is on the right here. So I know this shows electrical lines, but thinking back to a tree here in Cape, and I'm sure in Jackson and everywhere else, there's lots of trees next to all the houses. So if you're throwing up a ladder, you're not gonna sometimes be able to just go straight up against the house. You might have to go next to the house and raise it up. All ladders, I already covered this, all ladders conduct electricity, especially when they're wet. So we don't have any wooden ladders, but I guess some departments do. Wooden ladders will conduct electricity, and of course aluminum and fiberglass ladders will. So here's the flies that I was talking about. Whenever you raise your ladder up, there's you can either have the fly in or the fly out. The modern aluminum ladders that we have now, you can have either the fly in or out. It really doesn't matter on the new ladders. The wooden ladders, they were designed to have the fly inward, which once again we don't have any wooden ladders. And here we're talking about securing our halyard. So our halyard is the rope that you use to pull your ladder up. Whenever we get the ladder into position, we're gonna have to pull the halyard up to extend our ladder to find out how high we need it. And after you're done raising the ladder, you need to make sure that you secure your rope, because if not, it can cause you problems when you're trying to climb or coming back down from the ladder. You might get tangled up in it. So we always need to make sure that you tie the ropes and make sure you haven't had any problems with those. Here's another question. How can you avoid electrical hazards when raising a ladder? Anybody wanna take a stab at that one? Okay.
I think he said rung lift.
So we have beam
Or
lift
beam, sorry,
or
yeah.
flat raise. So the beam raise would be a great way to try to stay away from electrical, problems. And then, the fly on a metal or fiberglass extension ladder, which, should be facing towards the building or out from the building. Go ahead.
Out from the building.
Out from the building, yes. So we're gonna describe the process of carrying a ladder in our next learning objective. So on our, pumper apparatuses, I'm sure you guys have gone through the engines and pumpers upstairs and know where our ladders are on the pumper. And have you guys went through the ladder truck also?
We did a while back.
Okay, so the ladder truck, they're all kinda just stacked in there on various racks this way, whereas the pumper, they're up on their ends. So, our pumper apparatuses, 1 or 2 firefighters to get those ladders out. On our aerial apparatus, we've got, anybody wanna take a guess on what size ladders we have on the ladder truck? I don't know if you guys remember those.
14, 24, and 34s.
Close. So there are 35s. I think we have 2 35s, 2 24s, 14. We used to have a 50-foot ladder on there, and I think they recommended like 6 guys to put up a 50-foot ladder. I've never seen it put up. I don't know if Scott has.
You had to have 2 on staples.
Two on the staples, and then
Yeah, so your regular 4 plus 2 on staples,
Okay.
so 6.
yeah, 6 guys. So it's that was a huge ladder.
Four, right?
Whenever, this states that, your supervisor will tell you where to place your ladder, but, I mean, you need to know where you can put your ladder at, especially with house fires or something. When you're working on a roof or an upper story, you need to make sure you have 2 means of egress. You guys know what means of egress would mean? It's ways to get out, or off the roof. So, make sure that on 2 different sides of the building, there's a ladder placed. Here's gonna be our, ladder selection, what ladder we should grab off the truck, depending on where we need to access. So if we're just going to a single story house, just get the 24-foot extension ladder and put it up there. On our ladder truck, we've got a 20-foot roof ladder, so it's a pretty easy one to just grab and throw up there. If you're going up to second story or third story, it's gonna get a little difficult because our biggest ladder is a 35-foot. So most of the time, anything over a second story house, we're just gonna get the ladder truck to put up to it. So we don't really have to worry about any larger ladders than a 35. So here we're gonna talk about the designated length compared to, well, it's just designated length. So the designated length, when you're looking at the ladder, 24-foot and a 35-foot, that's going to be the total length of each fly together, but not the reach. So whenever you have them fully extended, they're gonna be hanging over each other, I don't know, about 1.5 feet, because that's where your leverage is gonna be, so you can extend it. So that's something to remember. You're gonna lose at least 2 foot, whenever you have it fully extended on a ladder. So, let's see, this states 6 inches, less, but, it'll be more than that when you have them fully extended out. Whenever we're working on the roof, we need to make sure that we have at least 3 to 5 rungs above your roof line. And that's so that way, it's the first picture there on the left. That way you can get off and on the ladder very easy. If it's way down here and you're trying to reach off the ladder, or reach off the roof to grab your ladder, you can slip and fall a lot easier. Whenever you're doing ventilation, so if you're climbing up there to break out a window, you wanna make sure that your ladder is on the upwind side of a window. And upwind has always confused me whenever I was going through school, because upwind, you think the wind blowing to you because you're up with the wind, but it's actually the opposite. You want the wind to be blowing away from you. in this picture here, the ladder's on the right side, and if you're standing up on it, you'll be feeling air blowing towards the window. So that way if you break it, the glass will go away from you, the smoke will go away from you, and you don't have any problems with that. And then our third one will be a rescue. So rescue situation, we wanna make sure that our ladder is at the windowsill, or we can actually go right inside of the windowsill just a little bit. We don't want it too far up in there, cause then it's just gonna be hard to get the person out of the window. So, this talks about, parapets. Does anybody know what a parapet is? It's not a bird. No guesses? So, Scott's got his arm raised. So commercial buildings, I don't know if you've ever looked at commercial buildings, so like Walmart or any commercial building, they look like they have a flat roof. But what you're not seeing is that front wall that you're looking at is decorative basically, and it could be 5 or 6 foot higher than the actual roof. So that's called a parapet wall. So I don't know exactly the purpose of it. Do you know what the purpose is?
More for just the decorations, and you
Decoration,
don't
yeah.
necessarily see the bowstring trusses or it just gives it a nicer look.
Yeah, hides air conditioning units, so you normally put those up there, or
Mhm.
exhaust fans, all that's hidden from the public eye. So, for instance, we go to Walmart, throw a 35-foot ladder up to the roof of that, or so, you might have a 6 or 7 foot back down to get onto the roof. How would you guys go about getting down to that other side? Just jump down, or what are you thinking? What do you think? Any ideas?
Maybe bring a rope with you or something.
How about a smaller ladder?
That would be very smart, yes.
You can bring a small ladder with you. Our ladder truck, we've got a 6-foot ladder. It's in the middle of the compartment up behind the cab. You can do that, or you can even get your roof ladder and put it on there. It's got the hooks. It's actually a 14 foot, but you could lay it out like this if you had to and climb down it. Because once you get down on the roof, you want to make sure you can get back off of it in case it collapses or whatever. So you always need to make sure that you're paying attention to that. This talks about our working heights for a ladder. So earlier when I was talking about like a 24-foot extension ladder, it says our maximum reach is 23 foot. You just need to be aware that you're gonna lose a little height. And, well, I don't think I really covered this yet. Determining the correct ground ladder. Well, actually, I did give you guys a slide on that. How do we determine what size ladder we need?
What the, I guess, mission
What
you're
the mission-
trying to accomplish.
Yes, so if we're going to a window or if we're going to a roof. And then I also showed the heights for roof lines and different levels of roof. So we normally figure out like 10 foot per floor, but then you gotta remember that your ladder can't go straight up and down. You're gonna have to have a pitch to it. So, I mean, I'd say probably 14 foot per floor to get up to that next floor. We just need to make sure that we're adding that up if we're going to the second floor roof, 30-foot ladder. Here's various different ladder ways that they're in the apparatus. Which two do we use here?
The vertical interior and horizontal interior.
Okay. Do we have any external?
I believe on the older engines.
On the ladder truck currently, we have some on the passenger side down the side. It's kind of a tricky question because I said 2 then. It's actually 3. We don't have the mechanical rack that would bring the ladder down for you. All of our pumpers, we have them in the back, slide in, up and down, vertical. And both ladder trucks have the horizontal, but ladder 1 has the 20 foot or 2 20 foot, and then I believe it's a 16-foot roof ladder on the passenger side. So whenever we remove ladders from the apparatus, there's a couple things we need to talk about. We've already pretty much covered our lengths and types, how our ladders are stored in nests. We already know that. If we have a ladder stacked on top of another one, you need to be aware of that. Ladder one, there's a short, I think it's like an 8-foot ladder that somebody stuffed up in there on top of, one of the other extension ladders. I don't know if you've noticed that, but you might grab that ladder and pull it out, and that other one might come flying out at you, since it's not actually in a rack, like the other ones are. So you be aware of that. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to which side the fly is, if it's in or out, whenever we're throwing the ladder out. In a little bit, I'll show you how to, position the ladder once you already have it up. Cause if you think about it, whenever you're raising that ladder up, it's gonna get awful top heavy. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see, our ladder truck on the 20 foots and the 16 foot that's on the side of the truck, we have tape marked on them so that you can know exactly where to put them back on there so that the latches will line up correctly. It just talks about removing the ladders from the apparatus. Just make sure you take your latches off, and once again, this is on ladder 1 with that horizontal on the exterior. Unlatch it, and then make sure you lift it off with 2 people, those longer ladders. And then on the internal compartments, just open the access, slide the ladder out, have 2 people on it. Normally the way we do it is one guy will go up and grab the ladder, slide it out, and have it where it's almost out, and that's when the other guy can grab it and just continue to walk out with it. You don't have to stop and wait for anything. So these next 2 questions are back to back. We'll just go with how are the ground ladders on our apparatuses here mounted? Anybody wanna take a stab at that one? Same as I've said like 10 times. Anybody remember?
Vertical and horizontal. And then
Alright.
side mounting.
Yeah, external, vertical, and then we have internal vertical, or interior. Whenever we're carrying ladders, we need to make sure that we're paying attention to our surroundings. I think one of you said that earlier. We need to make sure that we are aware of other people around us. Make sure that they're not working on something and you're coming up behind them and they're gonna turn around and you take them out. I already talked about lifting the ladder with your legs, not your back, and whenever you're walking, you just need to make sure that you're looking everywhere, make sure you're not gonna trip in a hole. The other day on the fire, I wasn't paying attention, and I pulled my hose line out and I fell right in the hole and fell down. So everybody had a nice little laugh about that one. Here's gonna be our, how many people we need to carry a ladder. Little roof ladder, 1 person, 24-foot extension ladder, 2 people, 3 people with a 35-foot. And then this one down here looks like it's fiberglass. Not sure how long that one is, but fiberglass are heavier than the aluminum. But we don't have any fiberglass, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's see, safety considerations. Make sure that you're talking to each other whenever you're carrying the ladder. Make sure that we have our team leader. Does anybody remember who I said the team leader was?
One at the base of the ladder.
Yes, yeah, so we call that the butt end of the ladder, that little feet on it. And then on our roof ladder, make sure that the hooks are closed whenever you're carrying it, because you don't want to hook somebody with the hooks. When performing a 1 firefighter carry, carry the front end below your eye level. You don't want to have it up in the air, you might catch something and flip it up. You better have it close, really close to the ground, in case anything happens. You'll be a little safer on carrying it. Safety guidelines when carrying a ground ladder. I think you said this over and over. Stay aware of your surroundings. Overhead obstructions. Talk about everything a couple times here. Get it in your heads. Proper procedure for placing a ground ladder. So this is going to be really important. In a little bit, we're going to go up and move the ladders around. So make sure that we're looking for overhead obstructions. Make sure we look at our ground conditions. What's a ground condition that you could think of that would make it difficult to put a ladder on it? Go ahead.
If it's damp or wet.
Yep. Anything else?
Loose gravel.
Loose gravel.
Sand.
especially if it's sideways and you want your ladder to go this way, cause then your ladder's gonna wanna tilt. What about concrete? You know how slick concrete is, like upstairs in the bay where I have a ladder right now, the reason I have it tied in there is cause there's nothing to grab it. I know you mentioned sand. Sand would be pretty good because it'll make the ladder sink down in there and you won't have to worry about the bottom moving at all. Definitely need to pay attention to what's down below you though, cause you might get down into something else, might be electrical lines under the ground even, if you're sinking your ladder down too far. We need to make sure that we're choosing the right ladder and structural features of the building. Mainly that's just talking about the parapet wall, or maybe a brick building that's, some of the bricks are coming off. You wanna make sure that you're not putting your ladder right next to that, you might have bricks coming off at you. I didn't talk about wind direction yet. What do you guys think about, excessive winds when you're raising the ladder up? Think those would affect you a lot? And you think when you raise the ladder, it's gonna be even stronger of a pull on your ladder? The higher you go, the more unbalanced your ladder's gonna get. So if you do have a 24-foot ladder, there's nothing wrong with having 3 people there to help you get it up to where you need it to go. Just cause this states 2 people, I mean, you can have 3 or 4 if needed, you know. It's all about safety. I guess we're supposed to take a break right now, actually. So, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. You guys know where the bathrooms are? You need to use the bathroom? I'll show you. They're just right down the hallway here, to the left. So let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break and come back at 18:35.
Remember, this is an active 911 dispatching center in here, so if you're in the hallway, please be quiet.
You did really good, Mama.
I'm really enjoying this.
Alright, so let's talk about ladder placement. So we need to make sure that we are placing our ladders for the intended purpose, whether it's ventilation, rescuing, or accessing our roof. And then the butt of the ladder, we need to make sure that we have it proper distance away from the ladder for easy climbing. You don't want your ladder straight up and down trying to climb up it, because that's not going to work out too good. For ventilation, we talked about making sure that we're on the upwind side of the window. So make sure that our ladder is towards the wind blowing to you on the side of the window. Make sure the tip of the ladder is at the top of the window. And then you could also use it to climb in and out of the window if needed, for various different reasons, shooting hose streams in there. Rescuing, whenever you're rescuing somebody out of the window, you want to make sure that it is right at the windowsill, or you can go right above the windowsill. And then you also want to make sure that you're have your ladder at a steeper angle. So I know we talked about people jumping out of windows head first or whatever, sliding down the ladder. If you have that at too much of an angle, people will be more inclined to do that. Or I guess, yeah, more of an angle, so we want less of an angle. So that way we can assist them down the ladder easier. And the more angle that we put in the ladder, the less weight that we're gonna feel on us if we're helping the victim down the ladder also. So that'll help. Make sure that I cover this. Make sure we have ladders on different sides of the building. When we have a building fire, we normally put a ladder on every side of the building, especially at least 2 to 3 windows. The ladder truck is normally in charge of getting to the roof, so we don't worry about putting ladders to the roof. The ladder guy, whoever's gonna go up there and cut a hole, is going to find their own means up there. And they will also make sure that there's 2 ladders on 2 different sides of the roof in case the way that they climbed up there, fire comes through the roof there, and then they can't get back to their ladder, so they're gonna have to go off the other side. Strong points in building construction. Anybody wanna take a guess on what a strong point of a building would be?
Load bearing wall.
Load bearing wall, okay.
I was gonna say like a beam or a pillar.
Okay, those are good points. What about the corner of the building? Corners of the building, you'll have the bracing of this wall and this wall, to whereas if you go right in the center of a house, you it could easily collapse inward or outward at the center of a house. Or if you're going above a window, big bay window, you probably wouldn't wanna do that, cause there's not a lot of support in there either. We don't use a smoke ejector. This talks about smoke ejectors, basically just a fan. You can put a ladder up in front of a window and have your fan propped on top of that to suck smoke out of the building. We normally just put fans at the front door or a window downstairs, and it pushes it out, pretty good that way. And we were talking about overhead obstructions, about 200 times, so make sure that you're paying attention to overhead obstructions. What do you think about putting up a ladder like right in front of the front door? Think that'd be a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
No, why not?
Cause if that front door swings open, the ladder's gonna fall.
Okay, any other ideas?
It obstructs the front door.
Yeah, so a lot of times the firefighter's gonna be going in and out of the front door, so, you don't want that. You don't want somebody coming out, walking down a sidewalk and making your ladder move if you had to put it on concrete. So I'd avoid sidewalks, I'd avoid the front doors. Closer to the corners of the buildings would be a good points to have it at. We talked about uneven terrain and soft spots. We covered a lot of those. Paths of travel, so sidewalks, once again, driveways, anything like that. Anybody have an idea what an elevator, trapdoor, or deadlight is? We don't even see those around here. It's kind of odd. In bigger cities, they actually have elevators that are out on the sidewalk that would go down to the bottom floors. And then a deadlight is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen doors out behind somebody's house in the ground, and you open them up, and that's how you get down to the basement. So there's outside access downstairs. They don't really do that a lot nowadays. Nowadays, they just excavate the ground and have a door with retaining walls on each side. So we don't really have to worry about those much anymore. Unstable surface be the same as soft spots. Let's see here. The distance the butt is from the building establishes the angle. That's pretty self-explanatory. If your ladder's too far, it's gonna make load easier, or the farther it is away, it'll make your load easier to get down the ladder. Optimal angle to carry, or to put a ladder is 75 degrees. Anybody have any idea how we can determine what 75 degrees is? Remember putting up a ladder?
Probably just by eyeballing it.
Eyeballing it. We have a little trick that we do, and you just put your feet at the bottom of the ladder, put your hands straight out, and grab that rung in front of you, and that's about 75 degrees, as you can see. So that, as you're putting it up to the house, you can just pull the bottom of the ladder out until you can feel it about like that, and that'll be about your 75 degree mark. Whenever we're heeling a ladder, we can heel a ladder also this way, hanging onto the rungs or the beams with our feet down at the butt, make sure it doesn't slide out. What factors affect ground ladder placement? Anybody wanna take a stab at that?
Exterior construction.
Okay.
Uneven terrain and slippery surfaces.
Good one. I know we talk about power lines a lot. And what about where the fire's at? That's something we need to cover. If we have a garage fire, do we want our ladder close to the garage? We want to make sure that our ladder's far enough away from the fire, because the fire's just gonna destroy our ladder. We talked about unique challenges for raising ladders. Anybody want to take a guess on a building that would be a little difficult to put our ladders up against?
The KS12 building.
Yeah, definitely that one. We're not gonna get a ground ladder to more than second or third floor on that one. Our ladder truck. Anybody remember what the height of the ladder truck is?
109 foot.
109 foot. So we can get, I don't think we can get to the roof of that building, but I think we can get awful close. I'm not sure exactly, the height on that. But, I know we talked about parapet walls, that'll be unique, cause after you get up there, you're gonna have to, make sure you have a ladder.
What about the, hospital, St. Francis, cause half of those walls are just glass.
Yeah, that'd be a big issue. I don't know how we would, other than breaking out the windows, that'd be a very difficult one to get, ground ladders to, if we had people we needed to get out of there, which I don't think any of those windows open. So that'd be another, concern to think about. Houses that are super close to each other, we have a lot of super close houses. Go ahead.
Sloped roofs.
Sloped roofs, yep. That'd be, there's bowstring truss roofs. Those are gonna be dangerous to climb on, because we don't have a peak to put our roof ladders on. Whenever we get on roofs, we need to make sure we have our roof ladders to climb on the roof. So if there's nothing up there to hook to, that's gonna be another challenging aspect. Securing a ground ladder, so we're gonna talk about securing a ground ladder. Anybody want to take a stab at two different methods for securing a ladder?
Having the person stand at the bottom of it,
Okay, you know, remember what that was called?
the butt of the ladder.
Heeling the ladder. And then, anybody want to take another guess on something else that we can do to secure a ladder?
Put something at the bottom.
We can tie the ladder off. So, I don't know if you guys noticed up there, I have, one piece of webbing down at the bottom, holding the bottom from sliding out. And then up on the railing, I tied the top up there also, so it can't slide back and forth either. There's various different things that you can do. When you get up to the top of the building, maybe find something to tie your ladder to if you need to. We need to make sure that the hooks are locked before we put the ladder up to the building. Make sure that we're tying our halyard, and then we make sure that we're heeling the ladder before anybody goes up and down it. We talked about wearing our PPE. I know there's a couple different ways that this teaches how to heel a ladder. So I told you guys about standing at the butt of the ladder and holding it. There's another way, would be against the building, pulling the ladder towards you. I don't recommend this part because one, you don't know what's going on above you. Two, if somebody's carrying a tool up the ladder or just even climbing up the ladder, they have stuff that would fall on top of you. So personally, I don't recommend heeling the ladder this way, but this way is safer, in my opinion, because one, you can pay attention to the building, you can see what's going on, you can look up at the person. This just talks about how you can put one foot at the butt of the ladder, hang on to one beam, let them get on the ladder and start climbing, and then you can transition over and hang on to the ladder with both beams. You need to also think about if they are up on the ladder and they're working from it, it could kind of sway one way or another. So you're not only trying to keep the ladder from kicking out from the building, but you also want to make sure that it doesn't slide left to right too. So you gotta make sure you hang on both sides of the beam. Here we're talking about tying off ladder to the top of a railing or something. It's pretty simple. So you've already covered this question. Two methods of securing a ground ladder. We have heeling and we have tying it off. And now we're going to talk about methods for raising and lowering ladders. So we talked about different lengths of ladders for how many people we need to carry the ladder. We need to make sure that we have the correct number of people around whenever we're moving ladders, and then we need to pay attention to our weather and topography. So checking out our uneven groundness. The last thing you want to do is be carrying a ladder and fall in a hole. It's not fun. So it's not necessary to place the ladder flat on the ground before you raise the ladder. You don't have to put both feet next to the building before you put it up. You just put one in the ground and then lift it up. And that'd be going back to our beam raise. If you're lifting it on the beam, you can't have it flat. You need it up on one foot. Here's a good example of it. having one leg into the ground as you're lifting it up. And here we have our flat raise and our beam raise. So in a little bit, after we get done with the PowerPoint here, we'll go upstairs and we'll get our victim down the ladder, and then we'll do a flat raise. We're not gonna do the beam raise today. So, we already covered this, 35-foot longer ladders, you need at least 3 people to move the ladder down. 4 firefighter raise for larger ladders. We don't have anything more than 35, so you shouldn't have to have more than 3 guys to move the ladder around. Flat raise is normally used, and it's the same as a 3 firefighter raise, except you have 2 people on each side. So, pivoting the ladder, talked about, said I'd cover this later. Whenever we're pivoting a raised ladder, we need to be extra careful, to make sure we always have control of the ladder. Anytime it starts to get out of control, you make sure that you have both feet back on the ground until you can grasp it again. So when you're pivoting a ladder, you're going to reach up on a beam, two people on each side, and then tilt it up onto 1 foot, and then you can just spin it around, teeter-totter it, if you prefer to say, on one foot. This takes the beam closest to the structure, so it really just depends on where you're moving the ladder to. And if you need to pivot a ladder, I guess it just depends on which way your fly is. If you got it in or out would be the decision on if you need to pivot it or not. Shifting the raised ladder, you should only do it for short distances. Make sure that you don't just do it by yourself. Make sure that you have at least 2 people. And you can also slide a ladder down the building if you need to move it without having to take it off the building and pivoting it or anything. You just 2 guys can pick it up at the bottom and slide it down the building. Good question, how can a ladder be moved once it's already raised into place? Well, remember what I said?
Pivot.
Pivoting it or sliding it. Now we're going to talk about safely working from a ladder. So when you're going up and down a ladder, you need to make sure that you're looking straight ahead at your rungs as you climb up it. Every so often you'll look up to make sure you know where you're going. Make sure that you're not jumping up the ladder, because then it can cause it to bounce and have the bottom slide out. And then talks about checking the angle before you climb the ladders, make sure it's safe. Don't trust somebody else that they have your ladder secured before you climb up it. Make sure you check it yourself, because that's make sure you're safe. So covered all that. Your halyard, make sure that your rope is tied in the center of the ladder, so that way you're not catching your feet on it. And once again, use leg muscles and not your arm muscles. There's 2 different ways to secure yourself to a ladder. We have ladder belts, and our gear. I don't think the gear you guys have upstairs has the attachment on your belt. Our gear, we have a hook, D-ring, and we can clip ourselves into the ladder, or you can do a leg lock. So if you are working off ladder, say you're breaking a window out for ventilation, or putting a hose string through a window, just climb up the ladder, put your leg through, and hook it back and go down one rung, and you'll get yourself locked in there, and you won't fall off the ladder at all that way. It'll secure you very good. On the ladder truck, don't ever lock yourself into that with your leg, because you never know if somebody might move the ladder and bring it in or take it out, and that wouldn't be very good for your leg, because the rungs are just right next to each other and they can take your leg right off. So whenever you're carrying tools up and down the ladder, it's going to make it difficult to grab onto the ladder and hang on to it. they recommend sliding your tools up the side of the ladder beams. You could also hoist tools up to the roof. Once you get up there, you could throw a rope down and hoist your tools up there, if you're more comfortable doing that. This talks about deploying a roof ladder. Earlier I talked about a curved bowstring roof. You wouldn't be able to put a roof ladder up there and catch anything. So with a roof ladder, we have our 14-foot and 16-foot roof ladders. After you have your extension ladder put in place, you'll want to position your roof ladder next to that ladder, undo the hooks on it, climb up your extension ladder, grab that, lift it up to the roof, and then once you get it up onto the roof, how do you guys think you should get it to the peak? Think there's any special ways to get your roof ladder up to the peak to where you can hook it on there?
Probably slide it on the roof.
Slide it on the roof. You can either slide it up on its beam, or you can lay it flat, slide it up, and then flip it over, whichever. Once you get it up on the roof, well, I guess you need to make sure that you're do the leg lock as you're lifting that ladder up there so you don't slip and fall. Here's a good picture of sliding up on the beam. Cover that. And now we're gonna cover assisting a victim down the ladder, and then we will be done with the PowerPoint. So, assisting a victim down the ladder, what do you guys think would be an issue if they are awake? If you're trying to help them down the ladder, you think they're gonna, go ahead.
If they're freaked out and don't really wanna listen.
Exactly. You have anything else? Okay. Yeah, so they could be fighting you, or they could be pushing you down the ladder to try to get down without you controlling them, telling them what to do, make it very dangerous on you. So as you can see, in this position here, we have the victim facing the ladder. That keeps them from swinging their arms at you or kicking their legs at you, and you're going to have them basically sitting on your knee and helping them down. If they can climb down the ladder, then, and if they're not freaking out with you, just have them climb down the ladder themselves and just kind of protect them. You don't have to carry them down the ladder. Unconscious victim, this is what we're gonna do today. So there's 3 different ways that you can bring your unconscious victim down the ladder. You can either have them facing against you, and this way you don't have to worry about them fighting you or anything, because they're not going to be conscious. So they're back against the ladder, their legs out to the side, so that way their legs don't catch into any rungs causing problems in the first picture here. The second picture, we can put them sideways and cradle them, either facing you, or we can put them away from you, cradling. We can play with this upstairs, whichever way you guys wanna do that. And we'll basically just slide them down the ladder, climb down. If they're a large victim, this 2 ladders, I talked about that earlier, having 2 ladders side by side. Assisting a child, super simple, just cradle them in your arm and walk down ladders. And any questions? No? Alright, we are done. So, I have 2 videos to show you real quick, and then we will be done with this PowerPoint portion.
Check out this purple.
Well, that's not it. There we go.
Firefighter 1 at the heel of the ladder directs the carry.
Firefighters are positioned facing toward tip of ladder with ladder to their left side. Lift the ladder with the left hand, grabbing a ladder rung. Lift while turning your body toward the heel of the ladder. While turning, place the right arm through the ladder. The top beam of the ladder should come to rest on the right shoulder while the firefighter grabs the lower beam with the right hand. Firefighter 1 rests their left hand over the butt spur of the top beam. Firefighters confirm their path is clear and proceed to their destination. Firefighter 1 sets the heel of the ladder on the ground, anchoring the ladder with a foot against the grounded butt spur. Firefighter 2, at tip, performs a beam raise straight up after confirming overhead is clear of obstructions. Ladder is rotated by Firefighter 2 so that its fly is in towards the structure. Fly is raised to appropriate height by Firefighter 2. Ladder is leaned into building by Firefighter 2. Firefighter 2 will tie the halyard rope so that the excess will be away from the climber. It is then placed in the climbing position, approximately 75 degrees from the ground to ladder. Roll the ladder so the fly is out.
So that's a beam raise. A lot easier just to show you guys a video instead of me explaining that. And then we have our flat raise. So this first guy, he's actually putting all of his weight on the bottom of the ladder. And that way he doesn't move at all, he's actually standing on that bottom rung. And the other person is just raising it up by the rungs. Makes it a lot easier to control the ladder, it's not going to move anywhere. And this way your fly's already out. You don't have to worry about positioning the ladder after you have it up. And that's it. That's what we're going to do today, along with assisting our little friend down our ladder. You have a question?
So when we take the ladder down, is it basically the same procedure backwards?
It is exactly the same procedure. So we'll lower the ladder first with the halyard, and then one person will stand on the actual ladder against the building. The other person will start walking it down with the rungs. You don't want to hang on to the beams because it can slip out of your hand. So you'll go rung by rung, and that bottom person, as the ladder goes down, they're just going to squat down onto the ladder. And pretty simple. Set it on the ground.
You need just as many people to take it down as you had to put it up?
2 people. We can probably do 3. I'm not sure if we'll need to do 3 or not, but we can always ask for assistance. So we don't have to do it just by ourselves. So, have a question?
Yes, is there any way you want us to tie the ladder on?
For today's purpose, since I didn't teach you guys how to tie a halyard, we'll just tie it in a normal safety knot. You're supposed to use what's it called?
Does anyone know?
Anybody know what you're supposed to use?
Did you just say halyard knot?
It's a,
That's what this is.
it's not a half hitch. Yeah. Let me look real quick, see if we can, I'd probably find you a YouTube video to teach how to tying off a halyard.
This is Don Joaquin, Lieutenant with Feature Fire Department. We're gonna go over today how to tie a lanyard off a quick and easy way. After you got your ladder deployed, you come back here behind the ladder. Come down all the way down, second from the bottom run. Run the rope all the way up. Pull your access out. You come around, you wanna wrap around your main here, come down, you punch through. You keep your left hand here as a guide. You grab the rope here with your left hand. Come back around, come over the top, pull your access out. You punch back through again, finger grab it, you pull through. Take your access out, lock it off. Done. At this point, you take the access here, you want to wrap it around, you tie a knot off through it here, coming down here, you got your single lock, top, you're good to go. You keep the access point here for your boots going up and down, keep everything clear.
Pretty simple. Any other questions?
Hi, Burke Watts with Helitech.
Okay.
Here today to talk to you about our Helix.
Alright. Any other questions? Alright, we will get ready to go upstairs then. Alright, so we're gonna do our written tests. See if you guys remember what we went over a couple times. grade them? Alright. Yep. So, do you want me to just give you the answers, or do you want to, take turns telling me what the answers are? Well, let's go with number one. What is the general safety guideline for ladder use? Does anyone take a guess at it?
Put down C.
C.
Put down D.
It's gonna be C. Ladders should be raised at least 10 foot away from electrical wires. Number two, in order to safely lift a ground ladder, it is important to
C.
C. So we want to remember that we lift on the command of a firefighter who can see the entire team. So that's the person at the butt. Make sure we have that person in charge. Number three, when planning a transition directly from a carry to a raise, a ladder should be carried. Which way should we carry ladders?
But for B.
Butt first. Where would generally be the safest placement for a ladder, a ground ladder that is going to be used for a rescue?
Put D on, I put D.
D on that one. So the answer is A. The tip of the ladder is raised just below the windowsill. So D would be if we're venting the window, ventilation. Number five, tying in a ground ladder involves, the answer is D, using a rope, hose, tool, or safety strap to secure the ladder to a stationary object. Number six, when one firefighter raises an extension ladder from a low shoulder carry, the answer is going to be C. The building is used to heal the ladder and prevent it from slipping while being raised. I don't think I covered one firefighter raise on that one. I think I just covered the two firefighter raises. Number seven, when three firefighters work together to raise the ladder, one is at the tip, one is at the butt, and the third is positioned where?
D.
What?
D.
D. So the answer is B, supporting the beam. Number eight, shifting a ladder that is already in a vertical position should be only done for short distances. Number nine, how can a firefighter safely maintain constant hand contact with the ladder while carrying tools? You guys remember that one?
Yes, slide.
Yep, sliding the free hand along the beam. And last, when assisting an unconscious victim down a ladder, special consideration should be taken to D. Place the victim's feet outside the rails to keep them from being entangled. Alright. And we are done now.
Did those gloves fit you?
Oh, I had them on
Okay.
How do we, what are we classifying as fitting for the gloves? Because
Can you get them on pat?
They don't fall when you do that.
oh, well, they go over my wrist.
Whose helmet is this? Is this mine?
Yes, that's your helmet.
Okay.
We miss anything?
Well, we can get started. So on this skill, we're going to climb the ladder, position, or aim position to receive the victim. We're going to position the victim facing you. You're going to maintain control of the victim by using one of the three methods. So you can either have the victim sideways, drawn through his, under his arm, through his legs, over down. You're going to descend the ladder one rung at a time while supporting the victim, and then you're just going to complete the descent in a controlled manner. So we're going to use a little green guy up here, and let me position the camera over a little bit. We can, I'll go up to the top of the ladder if one of you guys want to get in line here, and I will position the ladder, or the victim to you.
you're talking about.
Alright, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It still has to be cleaned and painted. This will be. Do those guys get you with it?
Alright, now you go ahead, start to pick them down, I'll come down and grab it, and then we can rotate next person and, alright, whenever you're ready. Alright, let's go next.
I'm going to carry this thing.
Alright.
What did he say? What did that say?
So put your hands on the rungs. At your arm. Yep, there you go. Wait, stay that way. Ready for the victim? Sure you're hanging on to this rung still. Just let the victim slide down. Alright, good job.
I'm going to get you my webbing, and then you can just hoist them up instead of having going up higher stairs.
You ready?
What's that?
Have your webbing up your tie dog.
Oh, you have my webbing. Okay.
Mine on bottom.
I'll grab Kevin's.
Alright, ready? Alright, who's next?
You hook him up to a rope, so you
Yeah.
get your workout.
It's okay. It's a good workout for me.
But you don't want him to throw it out.
Over the rail.
He'll throw him back in the fire.
Almost done now.
I was just saying.
There you go.
I'll go down to the toy.
Alright, ready?
What?
Alright. Victim?
It's under an armpit.
Alright.
It's a dummy, it's not an actual person, that's not how we would raise someone from a hole. 100%. Here's your victim.
Make sure you don't have a ladder. Alright, I think that's everybody. Actually, I need to bring him back up.
I mean, I personally think it's more efficient to just put it around its neck. That's just me.
Alright, great job, guys. Now we'll have to, take our ladder down, take it outside. Tied. Got my helmet and gloves and, assist you guys. Alright, if I can get you guys to come over and help me. That's fine. More the better.
It's not like it's hand.
Alright, so Bud push the ladder into me, and I'm gonna try to get this figure eight follow through, so we'll see how long it takes me to get it off. Put it in. We have that done. What do we do next? Yep, we need to untie that. One of you guys want to stand on the front, we'll have that one behind you here. Now we'll, untie that. So now, go ahead and push it to the building a little bit, and then, all right, there we go. Thank you. Now go ahead and push it away from the building, top or the bottom, keep it bottom, there you go. There you go, and then it's on. Alright, now, to get these, legs to come off, you have to lift up just a little bit, at least, so lift up a little bit. You're gonna be balancing the whole ladder here. A little more. There you go. Now, keep going. Alright, so now, get it down, what we can do.
You're going to, ooh, I'm gonna stand on it and
Stand on it. Now, you gotta remember, this is very slick concrete.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Come on around the other side up here. I'm gonna have you put your foot on that side. And then I'm gonna have my foot on this side. Keep it from sliding off. And then now you can walk it down, just go rung over rung. So you can walk it down towards you.
It doesn't feel safe, but okay.
There you go. Now just walk it down. There you go. That's it. Water is moving. you guys are free, you guys wanna grab it. So, our butt's here, so whenever we lift it up, we're gonna make sure we're facing the butt. And then you also wanna make sure that whoever's lifting it is on the same side as the ladder. So, you can do with our three guys. He's on the side ready, so why don't you go ahead and go down the other side. Okay. Okay, so you guys all squat down together. And then whenever you lift it up, you put this shoulder through it, put it on the shoulder. That one, put your shoulder through it. So go ahead and lift it up through the air. So you're gonna lean out that way. Oh, it's not on the floor. It's like on the bottom. Straight down the left. We're gonna go on this side of the building over here, away from everything. Over there past the window. All right, so let's just go ahead and raise it to the building. Get this to balance. All right, so we'll go ahead and do this with 3 people. So you'll take yours straight to the butt. Put it down to the ground here, and then go ahead and lay it down as a. I didn't mean all the way down, but make it flat. We'll do flat raise. So lay it on the top here, and then now you're going to lift up like you did. Walk back down the rung. Come over here now. Since the building's gonna hold it there, you guys can do it together. Here, tight, careful. And then pull away from the building a little bit. Go ahead and have 2 more come over, and we'll lower it.
Well, if I'm getting on it, they won't be crushed. Because they're going to be like, oh my gosh.
You guys want to start raising? So let's back up on the end. And then what we'll do is both get on the side, pick it up, and we'll just walk in a circle from right back. So, who's gonna tell who to go? I am. You are. You're the team leader. Walk in a circle. Slide your back right here. Yeah. Yeah, come back to the building. Back to the building and put your buddy in the building here. Your side up.
That's just three.
You're going to transition. So you'll transition to the tip over here. Grab it to the tip. Flat. Flat.
Me too. I can't sit in front of this. Stars against it. Speaking of which, I'm not sure if you'll see Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Sebastian Stan, those two see Henry Cavill, Jason Momoa. Well, they had Ryan Reynolds, but that was or you can see. I am Marvel.
Yeah, you're
As a
right.
Doctor Strange. When you get older, do you see? Especially when
Well, we got a lot.
horizontal and stuff. Okay, how about this? For Spider-Man, Tobey, Andrew, because he's Peter. Yeah, but he also goes like it goes Andrew Tom, Tobey. Yes, it was the original, so we have like nothing to do with it. And Mark Ruffalo was the best. He even named him. So most of my friends are like crazy Marvel people. So I'm just
Next three? You guys take your gear off now. Not you guys. Girls, guys. Alright, so we'll do the same thing. We'll have one in the middle, one in the end.
Scott, Buzz.
Put the button to the. So the top is a little bit short of the wall. About right there. You're not pressing it down. And then you go to the end down here. Keep yours up. Here's the curve. We're gonna lay it flat. Yep. Still be taking the foot. You actually go for the ball. The feet go steep. Lay it flat. So once you got the back, concludes the class.